Agriculture is one of the most strategic sectors in Rwanda's economic development. It employs more than 64% of total population and contributes about 25% to GDP. The country is investing in the horticulture sector to diversify from traditional cash crops, boost productivity, and increase exports.
The GDP of agriculture has doubled over the past, for example, 7 years, which is very important. So then, now agriculture contributes 25% of GDP as we speak, and it still occupies more than 64% of Rwandan households, which means it's the main even employer, if you can say. This GDP is generated because the market is very both food crops and export crops, but as you were interested to know about agriculture export has also has gone over time. You know, we used to know what we called traditional cash crops, or that means Rwanda we used to export coffee, tea, and erythrithium. That's the main traditional cash crop that we inherited from the colonial period. But later, as now we start looking around and started considering the country, we realized we have some other emerging commodities that we call non-traditional cash crop. And these ones include avocado. So avocado is now promising, is emerging commodity. Chili. So we have several markets across the globe about chili. So then, and as we grow, we discover more chili, fresh beans, maracuja, and other things. Now we are expanding export base.
With the sector expanding, new players are joining. Rwanda's perfect climate and rich fertile soil create ideal conditions for growing wide variety of fruits and vegetables. This abundance, coupled with government initiatives like subsidies and easy access to finance and conducive business environment, have not only helped existing farms to prosper, but have also attracted investors to the sector. They are now actively contributing to Rwanda's thriving horticulture industry.
Rwanda is actually one of probably the easiest places to do business in Africa. If you look at the World Bank Index, Rwanda has been ranked 1 or 2 for the last 5-6 years in terms of the ease of doing business. Infrastructure is also quite important in agriculture. If you look at the infrastructure we have around Rwanda, it's phenomenal. We have road access to every single farm we operate within Rwanda. We also have good road networks to every single farm that our outgrowers also operate in. So that also makes a big compelling case for investing in Rwanda. Let's not forget the climate also. I mean, you've come in here today, it's quite a nice, beautiful day out there, but that's quite not unique to today. That is every day in Rwanda. It's a perfect temperate climate, which means you can grow crops throughout the year, which is fantastic. And for horticulture also, the climates and the soils are also perfect. If you look at avocado as an example, there's a huge seasonality advantage in Rwanda compared to other big growers across Africa. Kenya, Tanzania, even Uganda, if you look at their seasonality, it's very different from Rwanda. So as a result, you actually have a big seasonality advantage with avocados as an example.
We have a very good climate which creates a conducive growing environment for the crops. That creates a competitive advantage. I would say about the Rwandan soil, we have pros and cons. We don't have such big consolidated land because Rwanda is very hilly. However, the soil in Rwanda is very fertile, and it also has accurate soil pH, which is a very good environment which supports the root development of the crops.
A key player in the sector, Suk Farms specializes in exotic fruits and vegetables. They have been operating in the country since 2019.
Suk Farms is a grower and exporter of horticulture crops from Rwanda. So what we do is we specialize in exotics. So what is exotics? Exotic is items such as avocados, chilies, fine beans, passion fruit. Those are some of the things that make up the basket of exotics here in Rwanda. Suk Farms currently has operations on over 200 hectares of land across Rwanda. We also have employed over 900 people so far in the last 5 years. We currently produce about 13 different crop varieties. Of those 13 different crop varieties, our main varieties or our main crops are avocados, both the Fuerte and Hass, chilies, red chili, green chili, and the habanero peppers. Fine beans also. Fine beans is categorized into 3 categories, which is fine beans, extra fine beans, and super fine beans also. We also produce a lot of passion fruits. We produce sugar snaps, snow peas, carella. The list is quite endless, but we specialize predominantly in horticulture, but exotic horticulture crops. So in terms of capacity for avocados now, we're looking at about roughly 1 to 2 containers a week from our next season. For our avocado season, it starts in October and ends in March, April of the next year. So we're looking at about 1 to 2 containers a week moving forward, which is fantastic. For French beans, we're doing about 15 to 20 tons a week in terms of production capacity. Chilies is about also 20 tons a week in terms of production capacity. Carella, about 5 to 6 tons a week. Sugar snap, snow peas, about 4 to 5 tons a week. So, but all of these, of course, are very seasonal based on not the markets, not the growing conditions, but our target markets. Because as you know, a lot of the things we export, they're also produced in our target markets. So fine beans, tender stem broccoli, sugar snap, snow peas, those are produced in Europe, but only during the summer. So anytime outside the summer season, then there's a big demand for import, which is when we then ramp up our capacity.
Growing these crops requires extensive care to ensure quality is maintained. The government encourages farmers to utilize new, environmentally friendly farming techniques that are less reliant on fluctuating weather conditions.
And these days, what we do, it's about coping, try to adapt and increase areas under irrigation or bringing some small-scale irrigation technology to make sure that at least farmers can get something from the activities. And also, we're trying to rehabilitate a lot of marshlands to be able to grow crops even during the dry seasons.
Every single crop we are doing is under a sustainable irrigation system. If I use an example on this site where we are in Gatsibo, we've designed our irrigation system where we had our first dam on the lower part, which is 1,200 cubic meters to accommodate the water. Then we pump that water to this second dam where we are now. This is 2,000 cubic meters as the water reservoir. Then we also have 2 towers which are in 10 meters height to achieve the higher pressure. We pump water from this dam into those 2 towers. One is 180 cbm, another one is 100 cbm. By doing that, we make sure that we achieve the best way of irrigating throughout whole crop cycle while using the minimum energy. The environment is getting affected by various chemicals, and globally, including Suk, we are focusing on reducing the spraying of various chemicals which would affect environment. Yet on the other side, we still need to get production, to get revenue to be able to survive. So one of the techniques we've learned is how would we get better production of better quality while using the possible minimum chemicals. It's called integrated plant pest and disease management, where there is a combination of various agricultural practices, including maintaining farm sanity throughout the whole production cycle, including selecting the best disease-resistant varieties, which are combined to make sure that we are growing crops without being affected by pests and diseases while we are spraying less chemicals. That has assisted us to reduce the spraying frequency from twice every week to once in a week. And we are looking forward to progressively improve it so that we would move to a level of spraying at least once every 2 weeks.
The critical part of the horticulture journey lies managing the supply chain, especially the cold chain. The meticulous process ensures the quality of the crops is maintained from harvest all the way to the consumer's plate.
What's quite fascinating is from the moment the product is harvested up until it reaches the hands of the final consumer is 48 hours. And most people find that quite shocking because what typically happens is on day 0, the product is harvested in the morning. By the afternoon, it's transported to our pack house over here, as you can see, and it's pre-cooled. By day 1, it is then graded, packed, and sent to the airport by mid-afternoon. Flights to our main markets, such as Europe, take 8.5 hours directly from Rwanda. And to the Middle East, which is mostly UAE, takes 6 hours. So by The beginning of day 2, the product is at the airport in our target markets. Within hours, it's sent to our clients. Within hours also, the product is also sent to supermarkets. And then where the likes of yourself, myself, go and pick the product. So from harvesting to actually picking the product up in the main supermarkets, it's less than 48 hours. The cold chain management is by far the most important thing to ensure the quality is impeccable when it gets to the target markets.
So as I was saying, this is the reception area. This is where we receive all the materials we need in the pack house. Once the produce is already assessed, it's put on a transpallet. And I think here we can receive about 6 to 7 tons at once. And once those produce are received, it's taken to the pre-cooling room where it spends almost an overnight. And then in the morning, we take the produce, we put in that sorting table. That's when we start sorting them and packing them. Once the produce is already packed, palletized and cooled, it's taken in dispatch area for it to be put in cold trucks and be sent off to the airport. And then once it gets to the airport, at the airport we have cold room also, because what we have to maintain is the cold chain. Cold chain is really, really important when it comes to perishables and the products mainly we deal with. And at the airport we have a cold room there. And at the airport, because everything comes in terms of skids, it has to be put on PMC, what are called planes pallets. And then they are palletized on PMC and then uplifted in the plane.
Away from the farms and its logistics, the sector is also making a positive impact on communities by creating employment opportunities and transforming the practices of the small-scale farmers.
So we have an average of 900 staff, both here at the pack house and on the farms, where we have 100 here at the pack house and 800 on the farms. But based on our growth, we have a plan of working with 2,500 staff generally. So on the impact that it has on them, we provide them with health insurances, but also I have to mention that 85% of them are women. So that means that they're able to feed their families, to feed their kids. We work with 1,200 farmers around the country, but based on our growth, we are planning to work with 5,000 farmers around the country. We help them with the inputs that they need. And first of all, these are the people that also have their families. So with working with us, we help them get the market, and they make 200% of what they could make if they were not working with an exporter.
We've designed our outgrowership system where we have 15 agronomists full-time employed to fully focus on supporting various outgrowers countrywide. We've designed the standards of growing the crops we use internally, and the purpose of having those agronomists is to ensure that these outgrowers are also trained and supported to be able to grow their crops by following the same standards as we use. First of all, when we recruit an outgrower, we first provide them the best training to ensure that they are equipped with the skills of how to achieve the production. Number two, we support outgrowers by giving them high quality standard seeds which are resistant to the diseases with potential of providing higher production. Number three, we also support them on guiding them on what are the best crop feeding programs they should follow and how would they make sure that their crops are always free from disease. Number four, we support them by providing them with advance payments in terms when they don't have enough capital while they are weeding and they have land. Then we also facilitate them on doing trial of the new crops that are not familiar in Rwanda.
Previously, traditional farming methods were the norm in rural areas. Now I can use organized planting techniques to cultivate my beans on my farm. Thanks to my new knowledge, I can prepare ideal planting beds and pathways for better crop management and transplanting. This has even inspired me to consider starting my own farm business. Additionally, I learned a valuable technique from Suk Farms, how to eliminate termite mounds in the field.
I have learned how to grow fresh beans, from planting all the way through to harvest. I have learned a lot and I'm considering starting a side business.
I have children who depend on me for their education and healthcare. To ensure their well-being and meet our daily needs, I have to work. With a steady income, I can not only provide for my family current needs, but I am also able to save and buy a new phone.
Since joining Suk Farms in June 2023, I've been able to not only meet my basic needs, but also save a significant portion of my salary through our savings group.
The government's goal is to see the horticulture sector thrive and increase productivity on a large scale. One of the key strategies has been to invest in cold room facilities, irrigation schemes, and other essential areas. This focus on infrastructure has attracted investors who see the potential in the sector.
We have a big investment that the government has done to attract or to serve at the market for our farmers, to make sure that we have what to plant, but also huge investments in agro-processing. The government of Rwanda has done a tremendous investments in agriculture, from big irrigation schemes that we be able to make sure that our people have food across the year. And one of the leading one also, we have this latest agro-industry hub that we referred to in yesterday's meeting, where the government has invested more than $100 million. And we have attracted the big 7 investors who are now doing their own in-field irrigation to be able to produce on scale to ensure both food security and export crops.
The shareholder of this company, Mr. Faustin Mbondo, thought it's high time actually to also contribute to the sector of horticulture, because it's a sector which employs many people, and it's a sector which also brings more revenues, foreign currencies in Rwanda, so which will contribute to the balance of payments. So we believe that actually by coming to the sector, we will be contributing both at producers level, but as well to at the country level. Garden Fresh, currently we have our own farms. We have around 350 hectares. Out of that, 150 hectares they are irrigated. Half is irrigated, then another half is, we are in the process of irrigating it. We are also starting a farm under Gabriel Agri-Hub, as you might be aware of the project. So this makes Garden Fresh really in a better position to have capacity to produce as per the orders we might get. We have our own pack house, so it's a huge investment. We have cold trucks, which will bring produce from the farm. This, I would say now, we are really in the right track to make sure we can really compete regionally and internationally as well.
Like Suk Farms, Garden Fresh is a leading exporter of agricultural products. Established in 2015, the farm exports vegetables, fruits, and other produce. They are on track to hit a $2 million turnover thanks to their innovative agricultural practices.
Started exporting from 2016, and now we started doing 2-3 tons a week, but as we speak now, we are at 15 tons a week. Then we export to mostly Europe, like 80% of our market is in Europe, UK, Netherlands, then Belgium. But we are also doing exporting to Middle East, especially avocados and some other fruits like passion fruits. So we, apart from COVID time, which we were doing before COVID time, actually we were almost at $2 million turnover. Then with COVID time, we were affected as any other exporter. So we went a little bit down to $1.2, $1.3 million. So now we are seeing, we are emerging from the COVID crisis. We are coming back to $1.8 million from last year. And we hope to reach $3 million in about 2 years to come. All products we do, they are sensitive products. They are fresh, from farm to the customer. Part of the technology starts from the production. So we are not just farming from any farm. So we have to make sure we farm where we have irrigation, a very good irrigation, not just pumping water on the field. So we have to, where our farms are, we had to invest in a perfect irrigation. Some of our farms will have a pivot irrigation, some of our farms will have drip irrigations. All those type of irrigation, they help us to make sure we increase yield and protect our produce from being affected by diseases. So apart from irrigation, in the process of production, like sorting, preventing diseases, we use all kinds of management systems to make sure we prevent from getting attacked by diseases. And whenever there's a disease, we have a track system whereby you can trace back where the issue happened, then make sure we have a correction measures.
Normally, we ensure that proper handling is done at each stage. When you look at these standards we are implementing, Global Gap, BRC, it's talking all about how to harvest, the right equipment you need to use, the PPs you need to be putting on, so the correction time, correction method, how things are packed, the temperature, regulation, loading and off-roading, so that all those things we implement, they tackle on the quality perspective that is going to avoid damage on the way. Also at pack house, we need to make sure our produce is stored at the right temperature. It is talking about how to process, when. So all those things are covered within the standards we implement. So normally, if you follow up all the procedures, at the end of the day, you have the product at the market in a good condition.
To ensure this produce reaches the market fresh, logistics such as air cargo and sea freight play a crucial role as the main supply routes. Both Suk Farms and Garden Fresh are excited to see things moving in the right direction for Rwandan culture.
When we started, facilities we have today were not there. When you look at from the cargo, there were no cargo freights. Rwanda was not having many flights to our market. So we were struggling. We were struggling from mastering the cold chain, because what we do is fresh. So which means you need to preserve cold chain from the farm until you export. So that time it was not really easy. We knew, but we thought, let's build that capacity until we become competitive to the international market. The cargo which has been brought recently mostly is operating in the Middle East market, and we knew that it's a busy market and it's a busy route. We believe it's not enough, but we are seeing that actually the cargo is releasing pressure from the only passenger plane which were going to Dubai. So currently we see more space availability to that route of Dubai, and we appreciate that as well. So we hope actually in the future, maybe Rwanda could also deploy cargo freighter to Europe or to other destinations.
Without Rwanda as our main cargo partner, this will also be quite a big challenge. Rwanda now flies 6 times a week to UK and about 4 or 5 times a week to Europe, which is Brussels and Charles de Gaulle. So without access or without a route to markets, of course, this industry would also be still quite at its infancy. And the good news also is now we're seeing Rwanda beginning to increase their capacity even beyond what they have now. So within a year to 2 years, you'll find that the frequency of flights to our main markets would also continue to increase. As you know, Rwanda has also acquired a few cargo aircrafts in the last 2 years also. That is also quite important because it creates the capacity we need for exports. So in short, I think the industry is heading in the right direction.
Innovation, improved facilities, and market expansion, Rwanda's horticulture sector is poised for a bright future, further solidifying its role as a crucial contributor to the country's agricultural exports.
Export about 13 crop varieties. I think that's something that we can easily increase to 30 to 40 crops within a year to two, because the climate is perfect for horticulture. Rwanda currently exports mostly vegetables, but there's a lot of potential for exporting other horticulture crops such as nuts. There's a lot of macadamia and cashew nuts grown in Rwanda. I think there's a lot of opportunity to expand that also. There's a lot of opportunity for herbs, as an example. There's a lot of opportunity for flowers also. So I think the opportunities are quite limitless in terms of expanding the growing capacity in Rwanda. What else? I would say regional trade. We as Africans, we always typically look to Europe and the Middle East and Asia markets as our primary markets. But what we forget is there's also a huge demand for the things we produce locally. So to give you an idea, we grow strawberries and avocados in Rwanda. But what's quite interesting is those same strawberries and avocados are imported in West Africa from Europe. So instead of products doing a round-trip journey to Europe to then be imported back into Africa, there is a lot of opportunity to break those inefficiencies and supply the West African community directly from Rwanda.
Infrastructure like roads, internet, electricity, all those will help us to actually grow the sector. And once we have other players like airlines and Rwanda increasing the fleet, I think we can reach far in this sector, far from where we are.